Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the following math counts problem, and it is a probability question, so let's get started. So 40 balls numbered 1 to 40 are placed in a bag. What is the probability that the number on a randomly drawn ball is either a multiple of 4 or 5? And we need to express our answer as a common fraction. Okay, so with a question like this, so probability, there's generally a few different strategies you can use. And if you have the time, I like to do each problem in two different ways when it's a probability question. And that way, if I get the same answer both times, I can be pretty sure that we have the right answer. So let's start first with something like the more, I guess, straightforward way. So we're saying, what is the probability that the number on a randomly drawn ball is a multiple of 4 or 5? Right? So the probability would just be the number of 4, so we could say 4x or 5x. So this basically means how many numbers are multiples of 4 or 5 divided by 40, which is our total, right? So like, for example, if I had to say, what's the probability of picking exactly the number 23 from these 40 balls, it would just be 1 over 40, because there's one way to pick the number 23. Right, so how many ways are there to pick a number that's a multiple of 4 or 5? So let's start with how many multiples of 4 are there? Well, that's 10, right? 40 divided by 4 would give us 10. And you could see these would just be what? 4, 8, 12, all the way to 40. And now, so this is your multiples of 4. Now for multiples of 5, we use the same logic and you get 8, right? 5, 10, 15, all the way to 40. Now the thing to realize though, are there any numbers that are repeated, right? Are there any numbers that we're counting twice? And we'll see that, yes, there are actually. There's two of these numbers. So obviously 40 is one of them, right? 40 is in both sets, so I can't be counting 40 twice, right? That'd be overcounting. So I subtract 1 for the 40. Now, is there any other number? Well, 4 and 5, the least common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. So 20 is another number that falls in both lists, right? We could see in the 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And then in the multiples of 5, we have 5, 10, 15, 20. Either way, you have 20 appears in both lists. So that's another number that we want to take out. So ultimately, we have 10 plus 8 minus 2, right? This is equal to the total number of numbers that are either divisible by 4 or 5. So that's just 16. So then our answer would be 16 over 40, right? And this is just, we want to simplify this, you get 2/5. So that means 2/5 would be our final answer, right? So this way works, and we're pretty sure that this is right because we've gone through each of multiples of 4 or 5, and we've eliminated any numbers that could be counted twice, right? So that's one way you could solve this. Now the other way is to do something called complementary counting. And here complementary counting is kind of it could be a good idea because when you see the word or, right? 4 or 5, rather than, because how do we do 4 or 5? If we kind of think about it, we basically found the number of multiples of 4. So let's say 4x we'll use to show the number of multiples of 4. Then we added the number of multiples of 5. But then we subtracted the number of multiples of 20, right? Because we didn't want to do any overcounting. So rather than do all this, it might just be easier to find the numbers that aren't divisible by 4 or 5. So not divisible by 4 or 5, right? Because this, all we have to do here is then do 40 minus this value, right? So if we think about it, all we have to do is 40 minus this, and this would give us what we desire, right? And so now there's a couple ways that you could solve for this expression right here, right? There's, because we want to find how many numbers aren't divisible by 4 or 5. But ultimately, you'll see that we use kind of the same strategies as we did here. So in this case, it might not be like the greatest, but I just wanted to highlight that a lot of times when you see something like or, it can be worthwhile to look at what's called complementary counting. But anyways, ultimately you'd end up with an answer of 2/5, right? And we just read the question again. What's the probability that the number is a multiple of 4 or 5? Express your answer as a common fraction. And we have a common fraction here, so that would be the answer for this question. And so that should be all for today. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. And if you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, a like or subscribe really helps us out. And that should be all for today. So I will see everyone again tomorrow for another video. Thanks for joining.